What? Welcome, Amber. Well, Amby, welcome. Well, welcome. Brett Hudson coming to you live from beautiful South Florida. And today is Monday, September 15th. Holy moly, I can't believe we're halfway through the month already. This is crazy. But listen, again, if this is your first time chiming in, Instagrammers, welcome. YouTubers, TikTokers, welcome. If it's your first time chiming in, and I do this Monday through Friday, but if you love God and you're struggling with your purpose, your finances, your health, your marriage, this is a great place to connect Monday through Friday at 12 Eastern. I love to read from spiritual books, usually 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then open it up for discussion if you need a prayer, if you're struggling, again, with your purpose, your finances, your health, your marriage. We're going to get some great value out of today's reading. We're in chapter 6, so if you want to catch the replays, we've got an amazing Facebook group, which is abundancewithgodgroup.com, abundancewithgodgroup.com. Welcome, Robert. Welcome, Garrett. Welcome, Scotty. And if you want to follow along in the reading at noon Eastern on the Zoom, you could go to zoom.abundancewithgod.com. That's zoom.abundancewithgod.com. But in the Facebook group, you can catch all the replays. Like I said, we're in chapter 6 today, so you can catch the 1 through 5 chapters in the Facebook group, as well as the other spiritual books that I've read in the past. But right now we're reading Joel Osteen's Your Greater is Coming. I love Joel Osteen. You know, I've been following Joel for, probably 2 decades, right? He exudes that what we call the fruit of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, right? I don't think I've ever seen Joel Osteen lose control, get angry in 2 decades I've been following him. But me, self-control, holy moly, I got to work on that one. So the good news is God's always taking us from glory to glory. So that's going to get worked on myself, right? He loves to make us more into his image on a daily basis. So your greater is coming. Discover the path to your bigger, better, and brighter future. And remember, all of heaven is attracted to Christ in me, as Christ is. So am I in this world. So are you, right? As Christ is, so are you in this world. I love the fact that God always takes us from glory to glory. We might be in that valley. We can't always be on top of the mountain. So in that valley, it's either the blessing or the lesson that's occurring. Sometimes patience and time, the things that you don't want to have to deal with when you're waiting for an answer to be, a prayer to be answered, right? Is time, patience, all this stuff that we're not. We live in an instant gratification economy, and people want instant gratification. But unfortunately, God's timing is the perfect timing, and it's if we force our will, we usually pay for it, right? We usually have to take the it's a long cut as opposed to the shortcut when we take our will back. So remember, it's His timing, not our timing. It's not what's happening to you, it's what's happening for you. So even though you might be in that valley and struggling with your purpose, your finances, your health, your marriage, even though you might be in that struggle, remember that God has a provision for you. I like to call it an upgrade, right? He always takes you, again, from where you're at in that valley. He doesn't bring you out less than, he brings you out more than. And the good news is when you're in the valley, there's a mountain on each side. So eventually you'll be back on top, and you just got to believe, keep the faith, right? When things get hard, just dig in deep, tie a knot, hold on to the end of the rope, and this too shall pass, right? So before I get into the reading, I love the title today is Rivers in the Desert, right? Rivers in the Desert. So I'm looking forward to jumping into the reading. But before I do, I like to read a Bible verse, right? A Bible verse before we start the reading. And today's Bible verse is James 1:12, right? James 1:12. And James 1:12 says, "Blessed are those who persevere under trial, because they have stood the test. They will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. So I'm going to read that again. That's James 1:12. Blessed are those who persevere under trial, because when they have stood the test, they will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. Right? And those crowns, there's 5 crowns in the Bible, right? The crown of righteousness, the incorruptible crown, the crown of life, the crown of glory, the crown of rejoicing. So God basically is saying that if you persevere, the blessed are those that persevere under trial, because when they have stood the test, they will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. So I love the great way to start off the reading. Again, if you want to follow along in the reading, you could go to zoom.abundancewithgod.com. And if you want to catch the replays, or connect with our over 400 plus members, right? We're all spiritual people who love God. So it's you can't always be on top of the mountain. So when you're in that valley, it's great to be in a community that's going to love on you, right? Point you in a good direction, maybe spiritual direction that could help guide you a little better in that valley. So anyways, jumping into the reading, rivers in the desert, right? Rivers in the desert. A lady told me how her relative had passed away and left her a small inheritance that she decided to invest in real estate. She bought a second house and rented it out. The first couple who answered her ad seemed like fine people. They worked for a nonprofit that helped children. Because she thought they would be perfect, she didn't do all the background checks that she should have. It turned out that they were dishonest. 3 months into the lease, they stopped paying rent and didn't tell her. She had the account set up for their payments to go to the bank, and she thought everything was fine. But the couple found a way to keep her from getting the bank notices. Several years went by, and eventually the house was foreclosed on, and she lost all her money. She could have been upset, gotten bitter, and tried to get revenge, but she said, "I didn't make a big deal about it." That takes maturity. It's easy to make a big deal when we're hurt and betrayed. Why did this happen? I'm going to get even. You have to forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. That means you don't let the hurts, the bad breaks, or the times you were taken advantage of sour the rest of your life and cause you to live with a chip on your shoulder. God knows how to vindicate you. He knows how to pay you back. Year after year, this lady kept being her best. Nobody even knew she had gone through that bad break. She didn't go around complaining, being discouraged. She had a song of praise. God sees when you're in the desert. He's watching you in the lonely nights, the times when you were betrayed, when you felt like giving up, but you kept going. You could have held a grudge, but you forgave. You kept moving forward. It wasn't easy. You were hurting and the pain was real, but you didn't let it stop you. 6 years later, this lady got an unexpected check in the mail from the bank for $125,000. They said, "We sold the property and this money belongs to you." She hadn't even paid that much for it. She made a profit. God knows how to make rivers in the desert. He knows how to pay you back for the wrongs. The new thing he's going to do will be supernatural. Remember, he puts the super and natural, right? He doesn't do things logically, right? Right? He does things, supernatural, right? And he's going to turn that barren ground into fertile ground. What looks like a loss is going to turn into a gain. It seems like a setback, but it's really a setup for God to show out in your life. The desert represents barrenness, no growth. You're doing the right thing, but your business isn't increasing. Your marriage isn't getting better. Your health is not improving, or you're passed over for another promotion. You're in the desert. In those dry places, you could be discouraged and think it will never change. No, get ready. God is about to make rivers in that desert. He's about to turn that barren land into fertile ground. As with this lady, you're going to see increase that you can't explain, favor that you don't deserve, healing that doesn't make sense, freedom from the things that have held you back. Now it springs forth. When Isaiah prophesies this, The people could have said, "Thanks, Isaiah, but we've had too many bad breaks. The opposition is too big. We'll never get out. You can stop the prophecy from coming to pass." The psalmist says, they limited the Holy One of Israel. You can limit what God wants to do in your life by doubt, negativity, speaking defeat. My business is never going to grow. I'll never meet that right person. I haven't had a date in years. Have you seen all that I've been through? You're canceling out the prophecy. You may have obstacles that look too big. You don't see how you can accomplish that dream. It feels as though you're stuck. You're in captivity, restricted by your environment. God is saying to you what he said to them. I am doing a new thing. I'm making rivers in that desert. I'm turning the barren places into fertile ground. Now get into agreement with God and say, yes, Lord, this is for me today. I receive it in my spirit. I'm getting ready for something new. Lord, amaze me with your goodness. Turn this problem around. Show out in my life. It's significant that this promise is in the present tense. God didn't say I'm about to do a new thing. One day I'm going to work in your life. Sometime in the future I'm going to show you my goodness. God says I'm doing a new thing. It's already started. What God has for you is already set in motion. This new thing is already in process. The scripture says, now it springs forth. To spring forth refers to when a seed is planted in the ground. You can't see anything happening, but the seed is opened up. It's springing forth even though it may not become visible for some time. There are promotions, healings, breakthroughs, and divine connections that have already sprung forth. It's already en route. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not coming. This is where your faith has to kick in. There should be an expectancy and not a looking back that says, this downturn is so hard. My back's been hurting. My company did me wrong. I'm in the desert, Joel. That's why I'm discouraged. As long as you're looking back, you're going to miss the new thing. You have to get prepared in your thinking. By faith, I can see the healing that's coming. I can see the promotion is on its way. I can see my child turning around. I can see myself free from this addiction. Now it springs forth, not one day, not in the sweet by and by. Today, God is doing a new thing. Today, God is making rivers in your desert. Today, God is turning your dry places into abundant places. If you stay in faith, you're going to see the new thing. As God did for the Israelites, he's going to bring you out of captivity. He's going to free you from limitations and negative things that have passed down into your family line. In this new thing, God is going to break generational curses, addictions, poverty, and depression will no longer hold you back. There's about to be streams in that desert. That barren land is about to be turned into fertile land, an abundant land. With dreams coming to pass, he's going to catapult you where no one in your family has gone. How exciting is that? Right? So I'm going to stop there because we're 17 minutes into this. And I hope you got some great value from today's reading. That's why I love Joel. He's always upbeat, always making things relevant for today's day and age, right? And welcome, Vincent. And I like the fact that he said this new thing, the new thing he's going to do will be supernatural, right? I love that word because that's what God does. He puts the super in your natural, right? And God says that I'm doing a new thing, which means it's already started, right? He's proactive in what he's saying. He's saying I'm doing, not I'm gonna do. I'm doing a new thing, which means it started. So I love that. I love that title. Now it springs forth, right? As long as you're looking back, you're gonna miss the new thing. So on Friday, we talked about the rear view mirror and the front windshield, right? The front windshield is seeing what's out in front of you. That's why it's so much bigger, right? The rear view mirror is small because what's behind you is not as relevant as what's out in front of you. So again, God takes us from glory to glory to glory. It's always going to be an upgrade. It's never going to be less than. He knows you. He knows how to bring you out of that captivity, right? Of struggle, lack, addictions, depressions. You feel like you can't get a good break, right? And it's a new thing, not an old thing. So stay open for how God is going to do it. Don't put him in a box, right? And limit him to one way. So I love that. And so we'll stop there. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. If you got some good value from that, as well as can you perceive it? Yeah. So drop a comment below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. If you follow Joel Osteen, if you've never heard of Joel Osteen, that would be hard to believe. But I hope you got some, again, great value. If you want to catch the replay, you can head on over to abundancewithgodgroup.com, abundancewithgodgroup.com. What's up, Lucky Lance? I love it, Lucky Lance. So, lucky, right, is labor under controlled knowledge. That's luck, right? Labor under controlled knowledge. And is it odd or is it God? Listen, each morning you have a choice, right? I love this. Each morning you can take that psychopath or you can take the spiritual path, right? What's my shirt say? It says blessed. We're all blessed, right? Be blessed to be a blessing. But that psychopath, that's when you take your will back, and that's where you run into bumps in the road, I like to say. But when you're on that spiritual path, you're in the flow, right? Go with the flow with the go. It's like roller skates and hot butter when you're in the flow, right? Honesty, unselfishness, love, purity. That's God's will. So anyways, I hope you got some great value from today's reading. I do this Monday through Friday at noon Eastern time. Same bat channel, same bat time. And with that, have a blessed day, unless you have other plans. And bye for now.